the problem is many international companies are having a payment department which has three major elements. Accountant, who knows the budgeting, the prices, and the financial side of the business. The compliance, who understands that what is the risk around your money. And the third one, which not many people talk about, is the...
Viktoria Soltesz has over 20 years of experience
focusing on complex cases around banking, payment, and finances.
Viktoria is the CEO of PSP Angels Group,
founder of the Soltesz Institute and author of Moving Money.
Whoever is handling their money, they just don't know who is handling the money, how is it being kept, what are the different regulations that financial institution or bank is regulated under, because it's different in America.
Oh my God, I'm so guilty of that.
Listen, no one knows that, and that's the fact.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Made in Cyprus, big business stories from a tiny island. And today we have a really special guest with us, Viktoria Soltesz.
Hi.
Nice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for gifting us some of your precious time. I know that you're a very busy woman.
No, of course, but I find time for what is important. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Pleasure. I'm really excited about this episode for two key reasons. One, the first reason is that finally maybe I will understand why all of a sudden there are so many payment providers on the island, like popping up like mushrooms in the last couple of years. And second of all is we live in a super mega connected world, hyper digital, hyper fast, and the assumption that someone will make that moving money is easy, yet it's not.
That's right.
It's interesting. So help me understand a bit better why moving money is not easy.
All right, how long do we have? Because I can talk about it for years, right?
How long as you want.
Oh gosh, so where do I start? First of all, money is always a big business, and no one really seems to understand what's going on. We are not educated on that. We don't study that in school. I'm an accountant by profession. We never learned about what is a chargeback or Visa or MasterCard or SEPA transfers or credit cards. We just don't know about it.
Wow.
And what I actually see is that a lot of people are starting their own business. A lot of businesses are going completely international, and they face that whoever is handling their money, they just don't know who is handling the money, how is it being kept, what are the different regulations that financial institution or bank is regulated under, because it's different in America.
Oh my God, I'm so guilty of that.
and listen, no one knows that, and that's the fact. And the main problem is that it's not something that you can Google and then you can find someone who is summarizing all the information and give it to you. There's a bit of information here and there and everywhere, and fake information, and there are a lot of sales talk, because there are payment providers, so they would try to get you to use their products and services. We are the best. So the problem is that no one really knows what's going on, and all the information that you get is very scattered around the internet. And you are in the middle, you are trying to trust your money to someone, but how, who, where, what, and everybody's confused. And as you know, the biggest business is when no one knows what's going on. You know more or less what's happening, then
Brilliant.
You are actually understanding the whole market, and that's how you can grab the good clients and the good deals. And that is the reason why in Cyprus, not only in Cyprus, but all over the world, there are these payment providers popping up, because you want to trust someone, and they look like reasonable people, then we give them the money to handle, but no one really knows what's going on.
So a few people really know the knowledge and have the answers, let's say, on how things work, and the general population really doesn't. But from the company perspective, what are the most common challenges that in regarding money and banks and cross-border payments, for example?
You've got a company, right?
Yeah, I have two.
Okay. Who is making decisions of transferring money abroad, opening, closing bank accounts, making any kind of collection from your clients? Who is making the decisions on that?
My business partner.
Okay. What's the qualification of that business partner?
Software developer and smart person.
Okay.
But you're right. We don't actually we don't have an advisor that tell us what's the best to do.
Exactly. Fintech is fin, and tech. So either you've got someone who is fin, because majority of the companies are hiring an accountant who is like, okay, you're financial, you know what you're doing, right? So do it. And the tech element is missing, or you've got the business partner who is great in tech, but we don't know what is his qualification on fin. So the problem is, what I see is that many international companies are having a payment department which has three major elements: the accountant who knows the budgeting, the prices, and the financial side of the business; the compliance who understands that what is the risk around your money, because if you trust your money in some dodgy account in somewhere in offshore, like, okay, maybe they give you good fees, but good luck of getting the money there if it goes disappearing. And the third one, which not many people talk about, is the tech element. Because I can find you the best payment provider or the best bank, but if you need to hire someone who is manually typing in all the in and outgoing transfers, and you won't be able to get any kind of summarized data, just a collection of the information out of that, and guess statistics, that how good it is. So the problem here is that this industry, payments and banking, have main three elements, and either you hire three different people who are working together, or you're just trying to hire one and hope for the best.
Interesting, but surely not offsetting all this operation to an external company is the long-term answer.
Well, usually what happens is that then someone comes, a good banker or a good payment provider, and then they try to help you. And yes, of course, they are trying to help you, but at the end of the day, they are salespeople, right? So
exactly.
the whole point is that you're using their services. And that's what we see, because there are a lot of good solutions out there, but you need to sacrifice somewhere, because there is no payment provider or bank which is
that
catering
does it
for
all
everything.
perfectly.
Exactly. So what's your sacrifice? Is it going to be the technology, the risk, the data security, the fees, the customer service, and
Interesting. So that's why we have so many different payment providers, because each one of them excels in something but lacks something else, and you need to find the best one for that specific.
Yes and no. I mean, ideally, every bank is chasing the low-risk customers, the supermarket. There is no risk, there is no opportunity for money laundering, there is no tax evasion. It's like the good client. But how can you get that if you're cutting under the price, or you're giving super customer service, or the technology is the best, just touch of a button and everything is there? Or you're going higher risk, you're taking different kind of risk within the bank or the financial institution. But then what's the security level? What's the sacrifice on the technology? How big is the team? How good is the customer service? What is the type of a license that they are working under? Are they really regulated under some unknown country? So,
wow.
Yeah.
and you mentioned in your book and your webinars as well, when I was doing research on your content, that each business and each business person, entrepreneur, should understand how banks think. What do you mean by that?
Well, you should understand how your money is being handled, right? So if you trust someone internally or externally, and you're blindly giving them all your, money or your asset to transfer the money, to keep the money, to safeguard it, if you're using payment provider, data security, technology, everything, you should know at least the basics, what's going on, right? It's the same thing that you hire an accountant, but you still look at the numbers at the end of the year, or you are hiring an HR person, but you still pre-vet the hire. So I think everybody should be responsible for their decision in the business when it comes to money. And it comes down to education, that we are seriously lacking on the education.
And that's something you're exploring currently as well with your next business.
Exactly,
venture, right?
because first of all, I wrote the book to put out the most urgent and most important problems, because I found myself repeating myself over and over and over again about the same problem.
Key concept,
So it's like, okay, let's summarize it, put it in a book, and if someone is asking me, read it, page 25, that's your answer. And then I realized that, everybody said that this is amazing, where can I learn more? So that's what I decided, that since we are an independent institute, the Soltesz Institute, it's not a payment providers academy, which is also good, don't take me wrong, but it might not be that independent, talking about the competition in the same way as your own product. So that's why I try to fill the gap now and give certified knowledge base, summarized information about how the payment and banking industry actually works.
Interesting. And where do you think Cyprus in its specificity sits in all this conversation?
Right. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So I started off as a tax consultant. So I know exactly what a paradise Cyprus is for taxation perspective. And, not only for the technology, but just the corporation tax is just amazing. Not to mention that it's a great island and it's good to live here. So a lot of
we have the
companies
vibes
are
as
relocating.
well.
Exactly. You've got amazing podcasts like this. So that's what I see. Cyprus has a really, really good opportunity because the regulator more or less understands what's going on. I mean, we were really heavy on high risk. We had the brokerages and the investment firms. So the regulator knows what's the deal, right, financially. So that's one. Taxation is very good. And the island is very young. I mean, obviously, if you go up in the village, you see the tradition. But when it comes to technology and innovation and fintech companies, as you said, the payment providers are popping up like mushrooms. That is the right, nice environment where you want to bring your new fintech company, because you can go to other countries, but maybe the regulator is just so slow, or there are legacy systems. Big banks are ruling the market, so that's why I see Cyprus's advantage of okay, that could be a nice new niche of the.
So good regulation, good taxation, and good lifestyle. You will say those are the three key pillars.
And good talent as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what else you need if you come to a country? These are the things that you want to see: infrastructure, opportunities, tax credits, government who wants to work with you. It's all here, right?
It's all here. So there is the choice is there, right? There are many. How do we, as a business person, how do I select the right person to help me? How do I know they will work on my favor, or simply how do I select among all the different available offers?
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're looking for a flat, of course, you know that you're going through agents. So still you need to understand that if the wall is wet, then okay, you don't trust the person. So I think the basic education needs to be there. So that's number one. So you need to really understand that what is happening with your money as a basic, you can't avoid that. But for more difficult and complex cases, get someone who is independent. And the thing that, what I noticed is that a lot of people think that someone is going to go there and give a strategy and set up everything for free. Well, that the person is still going to get paid. So if you're not paying that person, someone else will. So most probably the salesperson is sending you and your business somewhere which they get the most amount of commission. It could be, a gateway provider. It could be the payment service provider with different options, or a payment broker, or so-called payment agents. Just see that what are the relationships with that person with that. And obviously, you either hire someone on a payroll who helps you, or an external consultant who again works for you. And then you can independent advise. Or you get biased advice. It's not bad. But then you need to really understand what's going on and make the right decision.
Interesting. So what you were saying about the independent as well, also understanding with who they are collaborating as well, right? So
of course, yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're going to, as I said, buy a flat, you know exactly that this agent has these kind of flats and that agent has that kind of flats. And then at the end of the day, you need to make a decision of all the opportunities around that, what to implement. Or you hire someone who is working for you and running after the same things. I mean, this is the same with marketing agencies, with, payment providers, with technology, basically with everything, right?
And you mentioned, right, well, obviously in your book as well, like how bank thinks. And what is the relationship between fintech and bank? Because I feel like a lot of the fintechs are there, and the digital first banks as well, they're kind of on to killing traditional banks. Would you say that's fair?
I think every financial company now is fintech, because the bank still needs to develop an application, otherwise no one's going to walk in the branch anymore, right? So everything turns into fintech. So the big banks are now turning into fintech, and the fintech companies, because of the same regulation, they still need to act and submit and comply as the big banks. So this is the common point. You can develop an amazing application and still have the same, need as a bank, because you have a banking license. Revolut, for example. So you still have, hands are tied. You still need to update your records, and as a client.
Some things don't change.
Exactly. So we can call them fintech, but it's basically your good old bank developing an application. Probably this is the.
So they're meant to stay, you think, the big old banks?
If they can innovate, sure, why not? I mean, we can see even in Cyprus that there are some banks. Okay, they have the 50 years legacy system, which is still purple and blue and running on DOS. But at least they try. They still have like the login system and the secure payment, the wallet, the watch payment. So you can see that they try. It depends how well it's gonna be, getting the.
You use both for your businesses?
Yes. So obviously, because it's a Cyprus business, I have a relationship with all the local banks. But the good thing about Europe, that's another thing that not many people understand. If you have a European business, you can, at least in Cyprus, you can open any kind of bank account. So you don't have to have a Cyprus bank. It's easier because you pay your taxes and get the submissions and whatnot. It's easier with a local bank account, but you don't have to have a Cyprus bank account. You can still run your business on foreign accounts.
So you can be in Cyprus and not have a Cyprus bank account at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. And like you've been into this for a long time. Like you've been into this industry 20 years. What are the biggest changes you saw?
Everything is changing all the time. It's not just an environment which is changing, but your company is changing, because you need to understand that every company is going through different phases. When you're a startup, you don't know what you are doing. Maybe you're doing that. The activity is not that clear. People are not that clear. Then the bank has a different approach to you. Then you're growing, your volume changes, you reach out to different countries, not only in Cyprus, you become international, you need more needs. You are changing. But then the bank is changing, right? I mean, that bank that you used 20 years ago, I'm sure they innovated a bit, as we said, that at least you've got some new technological services, APIs, something that helps you. But on top of that, the world is changing. What are the new technologies coming out overall? This is a new thing like open banking. A couple of years ago, we didn't know what's that. Or the wallet payments, or the top-up cards, or the, this Apple Watch payments, so you need to understand that whatever you have at the moment, it might be perfect for today, but you always need to monitor what's going on. What are the providers offering? Who are those providers? You're changing. So it's a never-ending monitoring and optimization, basically.
Sounds like quite a lot as well, and also sounds quite a lot for old traditional banks to keep up as well.
That's right. It's listen, if it was easy, then everybody would do that. But the thing is that every industry have their specific payment providers and banks who understand that industry, because you can come up with, I don't know, as a shipping company, and there are specific banks who are dealing with your case, because if you're mentioning of different specific expressions or how the business work, you need to have a payment provider or a bank who understands how your business work, or a forex company or a gambling company, or even just e-commerce. They need to understand that, for example, they don't smack you with a huge rolling reserve, because every little profit margin is important, and you can't just run out of cash flow. So these are all very important things that, if you know what's your activity, find a bank or a payment provider who understands your business, because that's how you can work together the best way.
And going back to Cyprus, do you have a specific example that like you help and consult a specific business? Like what is the most common fix or kind of expertise you gave to local businesses?
I mean, I'm lucky, because wherever I look, there is problems, right? Because usually Cyprus have a lot of problems with banking and moving money internationally.
Yes. Tell me more about that.
But actually, I started with high risk. So when I was an accountant, I had a lot of clients who came from the forex and investment and brokerages world, which is high risk on its own. Then the crypto started. Oh, that was crazy, because no one knew what you are allowed to do and what are the capabilities.
Happened really fast as well. I don't know. Did it happen really fast? Because as an external person, I woke up one day and crypto was everywhere.
Yeah.
Was it like that?
Exactly. And then you go to sleep and crypto is gone.
Yeah.
Is crypto still the thing? Well, we don't know. I mean, it was yesterday, right?
Even for you in the industry, it was really fast, yeah?
Yes. Because, people are creative. And if there is an opportunity to bypass the banking regulation or maybe spare some tax, there's going to be an attention on that. So that was the bad use case of the crypto, unfortunately, which put the whole thing in a nosedive, in my opinion. But so crypto came. The whole island was full with these high risk verticals. So that's how I learned. And then after when I learned how the banks think for high risk, it's going to be easier to explain to medium or low risk clients that, hey, don't keep 5 million on one bank account, because how is it going to affect you if something happens? Or don't have one single point of failure and have one payment provider for all the incoming, transactions. So it's easier now to explain these banking rules for medium risk clients who have no clue what's going on, and therefore they are taking totally unnecessary risks.
Taking an example with a startup based in Cyprus, at what stage of their life do you think they need to have proper financial support from someone like yourself, for example?
Even from the beginning.
Really?
Yes, because startups have the tendency, first of all, to be broke, right? So if you're a financial institution or a bank, I'm not going to spend money, time, and effort on you, and then maybe your business never catches up, and I spent all this money without profit. So you already start with a handicap. Second of all, startups like to change their activity on a daily basis, because that's what you do as a startup. You try out what works and what not. Today you're a bakery, it doesn't work. I'm going to then provide education courses on baking bread. It's a whole different risk category from a banking perspective. So again, the banks are a bit iffy about that. So when you're a startup, you really need to understand. First of all, you need to put it in your financials, which I hardly see anywhere, your banking and payment costs, because this could really cut off your profit significantly. Let's give you an example. Let's say that you're a startup creating a thing for 100 euros, right? That's the price. You're selling that thing for 100 euros plus VAT. In Cyprus, it's 19% VAT. So you're collecting 119 euros. You are paying 3%, let's say, for Stripe or whatever, Bank of Cyprus, doesn't matter. Payment processing, normal price for a startup, 3%. Now, if you consider that it costed you 80 euros to create or buy the thing, you've got 20 euros profit. The 3% of 119, what you are paying for your payment provider compared to your 20% profit, it's almost 19%. So something is eating up your profit. 20% is higher than the corporate tax. We just don't talk about it. We just ignore it, that it doesn't even matter. It is matter. It does matter. Put it on the financial statement and the financial projections and the budgeting, because it will bite you in the butt sooner or later if you try to ignore it. You need to calculate with that. You need to calculate with your risk. Who is the bank? Who is storing your money? Clients' money, whatnot. These are things that you need to talk about even from incorporation.
Fascinating. And then as they grow?
As they grow, then obviously the volumes are higher, the risk is higher. You need to diversify your portfolio. For example, in Europe, the bank deposits are secured up to 100,000. Or if you have 200, immediately you're taking a risk. Why? It doesn't cost you anything to open an alternative. Exactly, but it can, spare a lot of money if not to. You're in technology. You know how often this happens when there is a downtime? And how does it affect me if the clients are there on my website, try to pay me, but the payment provider has a hiccup, and it could happen to anyone, even the biggest guys. So diversify, understand, see the risks, and obviously the costs. And as we said, that there are so many other aspects about that, the different, where the money comes from, how much, how often, what currency, how do you do your hedging? Do you even do hedging, foreign exchange? So, list is endless.
It's interesting. And when this startup finally also starts to sell globally, what happens there?
Yeah, exactly. Let's say that you're killing it in Cyprus. You're the best software provider ever. Great. Let's target a new area, not even just a new country in Europe.
Out of Europe or Europe.
Yeah, let's go to Latin America. It actually happened to me. I had a client, and they said that, we are going out and we are advertising our services, put a lot of marketing in a smaller Latin American country. Yeah, the problem was that they tried to use the payment provider who's got card facilities, MasterCard and Visa and whatnot, and they went to a country when only 7% of the people are using cards. Now imagine, you spend the marketing cost. The marketing...
You say 7%?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Eventually.
It's an actual thing?
Yeah, it could be.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're using other things. They're using wallet, or they are using, for example, in Africa, very popular, the mobile payment. You're not going to have a proper bank account with connected card. You're just going to the village, topping up the mobile phone, and the mobile provider is sending the money.
Even for big companies or startup, they made it. There is still a big sense of naivety.
For
around
sure,
this.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That there is no education. No one knows anything. You're winging it, and sometimes you win. Sometimes you have a good advisor on your team who is happened to work with that, and that's what they know. But there is no official training on that. That okay, listen, guys, this is where it started. Pam, 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 and going through the whole thing and gives you all the.
So with
the
example with the
information.
card, then they made their own partnership. Basically, that was the.
So basically, the whole thing was that you should start to talk to your payment person, the banking person, before you talk to marketing. Because if you give the marketing budget to enter a new area and you don't have the relevant payment method, people are on your website, you acquire them, great, it costed a lot, but they cannot pay you because you don't offer them the relevant wallet that they like to use, or because you don't have a local banking partner that you can trust. So talk to the payment person first before you release the marketing budget and try to acquire clients who then, on your website unable to pay.
Sounds obvious, but it's not.
It's not, exactly, right? It is. It should be obvious, but that's what I'm saying, that if you're managing a business and looking 200 different ways, that's one of the least things that you are talking about, right?
But Europe, it's easy and safe. Yeah, not much to be done in that case, or
It
there are
depends.
cases in Europe as well.
Yeah, it depends. Listen, because we have seen so many banks are going belly up even in Europe, right? And how is it affected, and the different prices? I mean, if you're walking into different banks, you're going to get different prices. What's the difference? Different service level. I'm sure that your whatever fintech account is giving you better reporting capabilities than your traditional high street bank. So yes, they should be identical, but it's not. And if you are transferring like large amount of money and you're collecting a large amount of money, every little helps. As we said, the 3% can turn into 19% compared to the profit. So if you're making it 2.5 immediately, you spare like whatever 5% overall for your profit margin. So these things matter.
And how do you stay constantly updated on all these madness of fast-moving things, regulation changing, and things happening?
That's what we do. I mean, me and my team, that's what we do, 10 hours a day each.
So there is no single source.
But there is no single source. That's right. That's the thing. But it's the same thing. I mean, how are you keeping up to date with the latest programming languages and AI? It's like you try to keep up and try to understand. I mean, you're a professional because you know where to look and what to ask and who to talk to. A lot of information hidden in conferences. That's why I love to go to conferences like Sigma, because the big information and the industry gossip is never on the stage. It's always have a coffee and, ooh, did you know I had a client? And that's what happens. So that's where you get the juicy parts. Exactly, the gossip stuff. But that's good because that's how you actually ask those questions.
You have to be in the industry, live and breathe the industry day by day.
That's right, exactly.
And which someone that is a founder and is trying to build a team, build a brand, build a tech, do the expansion, deal with investors, yalla. It's easy to miss, isn't it? It's easy to slip between the line.
Exactly, and that's why you have a legal person for your legal stuff, thinking that the legal person is getting their ongoing education and training for the latest regulations, for example. Same with the accountants, same with the payment and banking. So that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to advocate for. I want to put the attention for everyone out there that this is a problem. You need to talk about it. You need to pay attention on that, because it can cost you a lot in terms of risk and cost.
And tell me about your Cyprus journey, because you weren't born and raised here, right?
That's right. Yeah. So I was born in Hungary, actually. Yes, and I came to Cyprus 20 years ago, and I started off as an accountant, a tax accountant. Yeah. And Cyprus was so different 20 years ago.
I can imagine. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was great. So, for example, we just walked into a bank and said that, "Hey, Yorgos, hey, Victoria, I have a client. I would like to open a bank account." Don't you worry, have a coffee, give me the photocopies. You don't have it in 2 weeks, you send it later. It was all a different, life. And
do you mean it was simpler?
So much simpler, of course. Remember those times when Cyprus just joined the EU and companies just started to come up everywhere.
I don't know, because like I moved here 6 years ago, so I moved like when Cyprus was European and everything, and I remember when I had to open the bank account. I had to sign up like I think 42 pages, which were in Greek, so they didn't have the English version, and I had to pay, and hence I had to pay a lawyer to translate them, so I could sign in that, right? And I remember I found it that absolutely ridiculous to have to print them all, sign them all. I took them back to the bank. And then they told me, sorry, Mr. Zarian, there is one page missing. So I had to again sign it. And I said, can I send it to you? No, you have to bring it here physically. So I had to go there and bring it physically. So I almost spent like a whole day plus the lawyer fees to do that. And I remember I was like, it was ridiculous. And another thing, like I think we were lucky enough to be profitable from day one. So we never really needed money. But only on the very beginning, we needed, I think, 10K for the office. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't give it to us. They actually told us, okay, but if you give us 15, then we can give you 10.
Yes.
And I'm like, sorry, say that again.
That's right.
Yeah, if you give us 10 or 15 or remember, then we will give it back. And I said, but if I need it, why would I be here?
Yes, because you haven't been here in 2013 when the whole banking system collapsed.
Yeah.
And that was a big slap on the face for Cyprus to wake up that there were a lot of mistreatment.
It
on
was
the
too
funds.
loose, yeah.
Yes, and that's why when European Union came and they saved Cyprus and they said, okay, but from now on you report on everything, and they went up to taking everyone to taking no one. And now you have a seriously hard time, even if you want to get a mortgage. It's not America. In America, you've got a good idea of take this dollars on you, just, okay, do it. Finally, someone wants to have some innovation. In Cyprus, but I think overall in Europe, it's not like that with the banks. It's very hard to get any kind of business loan from any bank in Europe at the moment.
Private loans, I think?
Private loans, yes, it depends obviously on your salary and whatnot, but business loans, mainly if you're a startup, I mean, that's the whole point of the venture capitals, no? That's exactly why the venture capital came out, because banks are letting you down. It's like, not today.
It's not happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, but also VCs, things changed quite a lot, right? I think 5-6 years ago, everyone was funded. Like now they're really tight on their wallets, right? And they don't give money to a lot of people we talk in this show as well. Raising money the last couple of years, really tough.
Exactly. Yes.
Really tough. It's AI, I think, in fintech. Do you think it's happening?
Yes, definitely, both sides. Both for the scammers who are like trying to take advantage of all of these deep fakes and cut short the things and all of that. And of course the regulator as well, which is now having all that data to, so this is the problem, that, which until now they did manually. So it's both sides is beefing up seriously about handling large data and try to fight against each other. At least this is what I see.
So do you think, how far do you think will AI go into this industry?
I mean, obviously, only future will tell what's going to happen in even 5 years, right? Even in your industry, you just don't know what's happening in 2, let alone 5. So it's the same thing with the fintech as well. But as I said, fintech are in a double-edged sword, because fin is the regulator and tech is the evolvement of the technology. So you always have to be on top of every aspect of it. And even if you're just a normal shoe shop or an e-commerce business, still those fintech guys are handling your money. So you should know at least what's going on. So yeah, it's a tough time. Everything is changing. But as we said, if no one knows what's going on and you are half educated and half figuring it out, you're already more ahead of the curve than any of your competition. So try to keep your eye on the ball.
Top 3 mistakes that you see more often?
Yes, not being up to date with things, thinking that just because it was even 2 months ago, it is today. And that's the problem. Technology is like going like crazy and everything. The other one is not having the right people next to you. You can cheap out and you can think that you can do the shortcuts, and maybe it works. I'm not saying no, but you've got a higher chance of failure if you're not having the right advisors and people to tell you what it is. And the third one maybe is wanting everything at once, because you need to sacrifice in life. So you need to understand that there is no such a thing as free lunch. So you either sacrifice on this to get that, and you need to get your priorities right.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Interesting. And what's next for yourself?
Well, I'm concentrating really on getting the words out, like this podcast, to really talk to people and educate them that, yes, this is a problem. Yes, you need to pay attention. Even if it's not with me, you will need someone who is advising you for sure, and focus more on the Soltesz Institute and bring different courses, certifications to the industry, whereby you can rely on that. If someone is coming out with that certification, that person at least are capable to handle the basics.
Yeah, tell me more about this institute. So this you will be certifying industry expert, yeah?
Exactly. So we are offering courses to two different customer type. One is the individual. I want to work as a head of payment. I want to work as a person, as an accountant who is making decisions over money flows in a company. Therefore, I'm certifying that I know what I'm talking about. So if you're hiring that person, at least you know that that person has at least some ideas other than just a basic accounting qualification. The other one is the company. So I can go and with my team, we can do personalized trainings. In Cyprus, we've got even the HRDA qualification, so you can claim back the cost that you're spending on the training.
Yeah.
So it's a nice initiative. And then I can train the payment department about this stuff and face with the real life issues which is happening within your department at that moment. So those are the two different.
Brilliant. When you're launching, is it launched already? Or?
Officially, we are launching the 1st of September, but everything is ready now. So yeah, and we're uploading more and more content, bringing more and more awareness of that, and of course not just in Cyprus but outside of Cyprus as well, for everyone who's an entrepreneur, just to understand that.
Is that going to be the right channel for people to find out more about you?
Well, I hope so, because obviously I'm trying to do the podcast with yourself, raising awareness, writing articles, talk to different webinars, obviously generating content for the social media. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Wow.
But every little helps. So I think once people understand that what am I talking about, it's going to spread, because I'm sure that you will talk about this problem with your peers, with your business partner, and at least just start a conversation rolling. And that's my aim, that we understand that this is a problem and we start to talk about it.
Yeah. So the problem you're trying to solve, like it's summarized to financial literacy, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like there's a big gap in the general public and in the business as well.
Exactly.
Of that knowledge.
And even on the independent, like personal level, how do you know that your money is safe? Just the basics, just to really understand that when you're sending money to your friend in whatever Philippines, what are the routes that it goes through? What are your options? Do you have this option, that option? What does it cost? At least the basics you should be aware of. Like when you're paying with a card, what is the journey that the card takes? For example, my mom was never aware that there is such a thing as a chargeback, so she didn't dare to buy anything online. You would be surprised how many people know about chargeback if you just go down in the street and ask people. That is a problem.
Interesting. What fuels this passion of yours? Where is it coming from?
Because I was a suffering merchant myself. I was at the other end of the line and calling the banks and demanding some kind of answers that I can't believe that. Why? Tell me why. Well, this is the rules and regulations. But
So
why?
it was curiosity.
Yes. I was so curious to find out that there must be a reason why banks are giving me a headache. And then once you figure out, like, this is the reason, okay, now I understand. And once you understand, you see things from a different perspective. Now you understand why people don't pay each other with cash. Because people are creative, and if I give you 10,000, let's see if it's going to turn up tomorrow on the tax return. We don't know. So that's the kind of thing that once you understand what is the financial system and how banks are defending this financial system, that's when you understand what are the hurdles that you need to go through as well.
Once you understand how bank thinks,
exactly,
then you get it. Victoria, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know that we scratch just the surface, but we will give all our listeners all your contact details where they can find you. Your book details as well, which congratulations, it went really well as well.
Sure,
because
thank you.
To the point that you didn't have a physical copy to bring us here, so congrats.
I know, I read out.
That.
Yes.
Where they can find the book?
Amazon, any Amazon store.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck with the institute.
Thank you.
And see you next time, guys.
Thank you.